All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live right here in the beautiful Buckhead community of Atlanta. This is the day that the Lord has made. We are rejoicing. We are glad in it. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Ramonepreston Show. If you're coming on, joining me live, please do me a quick favor. Hit that like button, hit the share button, and tag Lolly Dolly everybody and let them know your boy, Ramonepreston, my squad, they're outside of this conference room door, and we are live right here in the beautiful Buckhead community of Atlanta on this beautiful Thursday, July 27th, 2023. This is the day that the Lord has made. We're already rejoicing. We're already glad in it. If you're coming on, hit the like button, hit the share button, and please put in the comments what city you're watching me from today. Put in the comments what city you're watching the Ramonepreston Show from today. I want to say thank you to all of you that are a part of our business and even ministry community. If you support the Ramonepreston Show, if you follow us on social media, maybe you're a student or a mentee or a client in one of our educational or coaching programs, I want to say thank you. And if you are a student, if you are a mentee, if you're a client, if you're part of our community, even our ministry community, I want you to put in the comments and let the world know who you are and how you are connected to us. That's something that I really want to try to bring as much awareness to as possible. We have a lot of amazing people who are a part of our ministry, members who are in our church. We have people who are part of our ministry and members of our church who are students in our Millionaire Blueprint. They're mentees in our Millionaire Mentorship program. Some of them are licensees and clients in our consulting or our licensing program. So whoever you are, wherever you are, I want you to let the world know. This is your opportunity to let the world know that you are a member of our church, a part of our tribe. Maybe you are a student in our Millionaire Blueprint or on our university. Maybe you're in our School of Prophets or School of Ministry. Wherever you are, I'm just asking for you to please put in the comments to let the world know who you be, who you be. Who you be. I want the world to know who you be, who you are, and the role that we play in your life. All right. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about why people start holding companies. Why do people start holding companies? We talk a lot about holding companies. We have a lot of people who ask us questions about holding companies. We have students and clients, many who have started and structured their own holding companies. So today's show, which is the question, and it is why people start holding companies. There are many reasons why someone would make the decision to start a holding company. If you don't know what a holding company is, if you don't understand the difference between a holding company LLC and an operating company LLC, what you need to do is go to my YouTube page and type in the search engine holding company, and there are going to be tons of videos that come up, and a lot of those videos talk about holding companies, what a holding company is, how a holding company works, and today we're talking about why people start holding companies. That's a very important question. Why do people start holding companies in the first place? Well, one of the most important reasons why people start holding companies is because your holding company should be positioned as your legacy company. All right? Your legacy company. So what that means is your holding company, as opposed to an operating company, is positioning you and your family for your legacy. So if you have an operating company, you sell products, you provide a service. Maybe you're not looking at that company as a legacy company. Maybe that's just the thing that you do, your family does, or what you decided to get into to have your own business. But that might not be the legacy play. That might not be the legacy move. There may be something else that you want to pivot into that would reflect your long-term legacy. So for example, if you have an operating LLC right now, do you plan on using that as your legacy company 100 years from now? Maybe so. But if you're not, because there are other things that you might want to get into, well, pivoting into those other things effectively and efficiently would suggest that you could use a holding company. I wouldn't say it would require a holding company. It would definitely require you to understand the concept of a holding company and utilize that concept in your next business pivot. But it would suggest that you would need a holding company. So one of the things that I like to teach and encourage my students and clients and mentees to do is to do it right the first time. Start your holding company, even if you're a solopreneur. Excuse me, even if you have a small business. Even if you ain't making a whole lot of money, this is still a reason to start it because at least you have the end in mind. There's a book, I love this book. I read this book probably 22, 23 years ago, and I remember it was one of the most powerful books I ever read. The book is called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Some of y'all may have read that book. It's a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Stephen Covey, he's the author. Well, one of Stephen Covey's 7 habits is to begin with the end in mind. Begin with the end in mind. So if you're an entrepreneur like me, even though you might be at the beginning of your business career, you still like to know what the end could look like. So Stephen Covey, in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, one of his habits recommends for you to begin with the end in mind. So when you think about that concept or that principle of beginning with the end in mind, now your legacy company is important. So a lot of people, they start operating businesses. They go out there to the marketplace, they try to sell their products, they sell their services, and they make money. Some people do, some people don't, okay? But at some point in your business career, you probably have other ideas that you want to entertain, other business ventures that you want to get into. Well, if you have your legacy company set up, which is your holding company, it just makes it easier for you to pivot into those other things without feeling like you are, bottlenecked in one vehicle or one vertical. So one of the most important reasons why people start holding companies is because of their legacy. People are thinking about their legacies. We just had a free business assessment for about 15, 20 minutes with a gentleman who he watches our videos on YouTube, and we schedule an appointment because we're offering free business assessments this week to everybody in our community. So if you are watching and you're still inside of this last week of July of 2023, you can text the word holding. You can text the word holding to 678-276-8253. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make sure that my team puts that text in the comment. So you can text the word holding to 678-276-8253. You'll see the number in the comments. Just take that number and text holding to 678-276-8253, and we will schedule a free complimentary business assessment. So what that means is you text the word holding to that number, 678-276-8253, and we in turn call you, and we will either have the assessment over the phone with you if it's appropriate, or we will schedule another time that we can join you maybe on a Zoom call for about 10 or 15 minutes just to assess your business activities, to assess your business goals, and to give you some direction and information on what are the next best steps that you need to take. So we've had some people to take us up on this offer this week, and it ends tomorrow. We just opened this week up to provide at least 10. Our goal was to provide 10 free complimentary business assessments to those of you that are part of our community. And I know it's important for people who watch our videos and then you see me offer certain products, certain programs, certain services, and whether you plan on purchasing something from us or not, every once in a while, we like to make sure we circle back around and do something amazing and free and complimentary for our community. So again, I'll give you that information later, but you'll see in the comments, you could text the word holding to 678-276-8253. And this week we're offering a free complimentary business assessment. So maybe you're thinking about starting a holding company, but you haven't. Maybe you already have one or more LLCs, and you want to make sure that if you start a new holding company, you know how to transfer the ownership of the existing ones to the new one. Or maybe you have it all set up and you just want to make sure it's set up the right way. We will help you inside of that business assessment. So again, why do people start holding companies? The first reason I'm giving you is because it's a legacy company. And depending on how deep you dive into what your legacy is now and what you want your legacy to be in the future, depending on how deep you dig into that, it will determine how many other things you factor into that assessment with your holding company being your legacy company. In other words, what I'm meaning by that is this. A lot of times when you start a holding company and you're using it for the purpose of establishing your legacy, and this is going to be your legacy company, there are other things you need to consider when you're starting that holding company. You might need to consider your brand. You might need to consider the name of the company. You might need to consider where that company is established. It might not need to be established, let's say in Wyoming. It may need to be established in your state. So there are certain things that you need to think about depending on what the extent of your legacy is, okay? So another reason why people start holding companies, especially in today's world, like in this post-pandemic world that we're in, one of the reasons why is because we are in a economic climate. I'm trying to find the best word to use. We're in an economic climate. We're in a season and we're in a time in history where there's going to be more wealth transferred in the next 10 to 20 years than there ever has been in the history of this nation. All right. So there are studies that show, we're in 2023, there are studies that show within the next 7 to 8 years, there's going to be trillions of dollars of wealth transferred from one generation, which is probably the baby boomer generation, those who are in their 70s, 80s, 90s, that generation within the next 7 to 8 years, maybe 10 years, okay, between now and 2030, they're going to transfer trillions, not millions with an M, not billions with a B, but trillions with a T. Trillions of dollars will be transferred. Within the next 20 to 25 years, it is estimated that maybe 70 to up to $200 trillion of assets will be transferred from that generation within the next 20 years to this generation. So think about your age right now and think about how old you're going to be in 20 to 25 years. Well, if you live, as long as you're alive within the next, between now and the next 20, 25 years, you're going to live in a window in history that there's going to be trillions of dollars of assets and businesses and money and resources transferred to your current generation that's living. This is one of the reasons why I think it's absolutely essential and critical for you as an entrepreneur, as a small business owner, to start a holding company. Because again, number one, your legacy is involved in this. You want to position yourself for your legacy. You don't want to get stuck. You don't want to get stuck in this, what do I like to say? You don't want to get stuck in this matrix of managing, operating business, but never pivoting into an asset management type of business. And that's what your holding company is going to do. So that's another reason why people are starting holding companies, because they're recognizing that even when you can't own a house, even when you can't own a car, you can own a business. And there are businesses that people are giving up, walking away from, selling, or allowing other people like you and I to acquire and take over, because their heydays of business ownership are over. They're either ready to retire, they're either burnt out, or they're just at a point to where they want to see somebody else succeed. So it's not always a bad thing because of this generational transfer. It's a very, very good thing. But if you know somebody who has a business and they're ready to retire, like I just spoke to someone yesterday, okay? Because we just recently officially launched a new business venture called RP Capital. And this is a multi-strategy real estate investment and asset management firm that we've been working on for some time. It's independently owned by us. It's a subsidiary of Ramonepreston Enterprises. And even though the primary purpose of RP Capital is to acquire real estate assets, but we are also looking to acquire business assets, not just real estate assets, okay? So this is like week one that we really started officially announcing it, even though the official launch date was supposed to be August 1st. It's the 27th. I'm already like 3 days into advertising it, marketing it, talking about it, and doing a whole lot of work behind it. But just within the first couple of days of us launching or officially announcing the launch of our new business venture called RP Capital, I've already had people send me real estate deals, and I've even had a offer to purchase an existing business. And the business already has a book of clients and activity, but why is the business owner willing to sell me the whole entire business? Because the business owner is ready to pivot into something else. All right. So it doesn't always have to be a bad thing. I'm just showing you reasons why people like you should, and why most people that we work with today work with us and use us to help them start holding companies, because they want to have a legacy. They want to have a vehicle that they can use to house their legacy in. The second reason is because they understand where we are in light of this wealth transfer. There's a lot of people who are maybe in their 70s, their 80s and 90s. Some might even be in their 60s. I've talked to some who have worked and have ran businesses and have done a whole lot for 30, 40, 50 years, and they're ready to pivot. They're ready to retire, or they're ready to just do something else. So what that means is You as a new entrepreneur or as a younger entrepreneur, you come around, if you are positioned properly, you can capitalize on the opportunities that are available. But if an opportunity for you to acquire an existing business or acquire real estate or acquire any asset, if an opportunity like that shows up, but you don't have the right business structure set up, and if you don't have the education or the knowledge on what you should be doing with this opportunity, what you think gonna happen? You already know what's gonna happen. You're gonna miss the opportunity. And we don't need to miss no opportunities, especially our people. If you come from where I come from, if you've been through some of the stuff I've been through in life, the last thing you can afford to do right now is miss another doggone opportunity. So that's a second reason why people are starting holding companies, okay? Because of this generational wealth transfer. Trillions of dollars are being transferred. Okay, another reason people start holding companies, Mr. Gray, he says, wife and I have that showing up right now. Wow. See, somebody's telling me on Instagram that him and his wife, they have that type of stuff showing up already. So this is why you want to have that holding company set up. You want to be positioned. I'm telling y'all, like being positioned in today's world, especially because of all the stuff that's going on, sometimes just being positioned with the right business structure, even if your business structure is not making a lot of money, because that's one of the reasons why a lot of people don't start holding companies. They don't set up systems and processes for their business because they feel like, well, I ain't making enough money. I ain't got a lot going on. Let me tell you something. The upside to just being positioned in today's marketplace with a business system that's put together correctly, structured correctly, with the right systems and processes integrated correctly, will make you a millionaire in today's world. Hands down, it will make you a millionaire in today's world. I know it without a shadow of a doubt. This is one of the reasons why I stand on the mountaintop as much as I do, talking about holding companies and systems and everything that I teach and everything that I offer as a business consultant and coach is built around showing you how to properly start, properly structure, so that at some point you can properly scale that business. So another reason why people start holding companies, and this might be a little common for some of you to know, is what I call the 4 Ps. These are the 4 Ps. This is another reason why people start the holding company. The first P is protection. Protection. People want protection. Now, some people want what they call anonymity. Some people want anonymity. Okay? If you don't know what anonymity is, we definitely need to get you on a program so you can start educating yourself. But the 4 Ps make up the third reason why a lot of people start holding companies today. Number 1 is for protection. The first P is protection. They want protection. So for example, if you have an operating business, you sell a product or you provide a service, and you put that in an LLC, and you out there making money or trying to make money with your business, well, sometimes when you start accumulating assets like trademarks, copyrights, publishing rights, intellectual assets, maybe you have stocks and bonds, or maybe you have real estate or vehicles, or whatever the things are that you have that are assets, you don't want all those assets to be housed inside of that operating business, because if something ever happens to that business and it becomes liable, everything that's inside of it is open, exposed, and liable too. So you take those assets, and especially if they're not risky assets like real estate or something, and you move those assets into the ownership of the holding company. So even if your operating company needs to use certain intellectual property, certain systems and processes that you own, certain assets that you've accumulated, well, they can use it. That operating entity can use it, but it doesn't have to own it. So that's a level of protection that your holding company provides, not just for your assets, but also for you. Because instead of you owning the business that sells the product, Instead of you owning the business that provides the service, your holding company owns the business. Okay, so protection. The second P is preservation. Preservation is powerful to a holding company because your holding company sets you up, and I don't want to go too far with this on this live, but your holding company can really set you up to become your own bank. You can become your own bank or lending institution through your holding company. Your holding company can become the lender. Your operating company can become the borrower. Like, it's a powerful concept when you think about it, okay? The third P is production. The productivity of your organization changes when you have a holding company, operating divisions, and operating subsidiaries, and they're all put together that way. Your organization as a whole becomes more productive. You as an individual become more productive. I've done enough research, enough studies, and I've worked with enough entrepreneurs to know that one of the biggest reasons why a lot of entrepreneurs are not productive is because they're all over the place. They don't understand how to structure the multiple operations that they have going on. So most entrepreneurs that I talk with, oh my God, they might have 100 business ideas. But if you don't know how to structure and package those 100 business ideas, you're going to be confused, you're going to be overwhelmed, you're going to be frustrated, disappointed, and at some point, guess what you're going to do? You're going to become unproductive. So productivity is a benefit from having a holding company. Okay, the fourth P is purchasing power. Okay, these are the 4 P's that tie into why people start holding companies. For purchasing power. Okay, so that means you own the holding company owns other companies, the holding company also owns certain assets that have monetary value. Now, for the purpose of banking, for the purpose of lending, for the purpose of credit lines, for the purpose of accumulating or acquiring new assets, your holding company has more purchasing power because everything is tied into it, as opposed to you having 5 or 6 separate LLCs that you own, but they're not all a part of a conglomerate. You can't compress them together the same way in terms of value like you can if they're all under the holding company. All right? So again, if you're watching this live, I've just given you 3 top reasons why people start holding companies. If you are thinking about starting a holding company, or if you have LLCs already set up and you don't know if it's structured correctly, this week only, I am offering a free 10 to 15 minute business assessment for everyone who responds to our lives this week. So what that means is you can't watch this live 3 weeks from now and think that the offer still stands. We don't have the capacity to do this in perpetuity. So every once in a while, especially after we have like a run of 3 or 4 months of events like we have had for the past 3 or 4 months, we've hosted, man, I don't even know how many events we've hosted. Virtual events, live in-person events, workshops, boot camps. We always like to take at least a week and open an opportunity up for people who are in our community who might not be students, who might not be mentees in our coaching program. You might not even have a business relationship with me at all, but this week we're extending an offer for you to get a free 10 to 15 minute business assessment. And what that means is you text the word holding to 678-276-8253. You text the word holding to 678-276-8253. We're going to reach back out to you, and either over the phone or through a scheduled Zoom session, we're going to take about 10 to 15 minutes just to answer any questions you have about holding companies. Maybe you have an idea about how you want to structure or restructure your organization. We'll give you input. We'll show you what the best route is that you need to take. We've been doing it this week to everyone who responds. So no entrepreneur is being left behind, okay? Unless it's like 1,000 people that respond and we just don't have the capacity this week to accommodate it. We'll have to roll over some of those appointments into next week. But if you're watching this and it's still the week of, let's see, July 24th through the 28th, tomorrow's Friday the 28th, you still have time to text holding to 678-276-8253. We'll reach back out to you. We'll schedule a 10 to 15 minute free complimentary business assessment. It's not like we're taking 10 minutes to pitch you our products or to sell you. We're literally offering you a free business assessment. And I hope if any of you are watching this live or any live this week and you have responded by texting the word Holden, and if we've given you a free business assessment, I hope to God that you will at least put in the comments or maybe go to Google and leave a review to let the world know that we actually gave it to you. Even if you didn't buy anything or want any other product or service from us, we still gave you what we promised you. I would love for you to respond, okay? Now we're back to more ways or reasons why people start holding companies. Number 4 is because of consolidation and centralization. So this is a main reason why a lot of people start holding companies. Number 1, they want consolidation. So that means they want to consolidate all their entities under one. They want to simplify their day-to-day operations. They want to make managing multiple entities easier. Because remember, if you got multiple LLCs, that means you got multiple EIN numbers, multiple articles of organization, multiple operating agreements, multiple corporation kits, multiple bank accounts, multiple NAV accounts, Duns and Bradstreet, because you want all that for each entity that you set up. Mr. Gray, he says, I'm driving right now. Is that number on your IG? I think so. I'll make sure one of my people hits you up on there to make sure that you have the number. But I think it's the number that's on the IG, if I'm not mistaken. If not, when you park, just hit me up, DM me, and I'll make sure we get you plugged in. So again, consolidation is one of the main reasons why you start a holding company. You want to consolidate your business operations. A lot of times, here's what happens. When I sit down with a client and they tell me about the 10 or 15 business ideas that they have, we just went through this the other day with a client who came in from out of state and they wanted to set up multiple LLCs. Well, when we first sat down, I'm just giving you an example. When I first sat down with this client, they had an idea for like 8 different LLCs, literally 8 different LLCs, okay? But they had never really been educated about holding companies. They paid for our course a couple months ago, but he just never had time to take the course to learn all the ins and outs. He wasn't a mentee. We wasn't coaching him or anything. So when we first sat down, he laid out his idea for 8 different LLCs. What he wanted to do would have typically been 8 or 9 different LLCs. Well, once we got through our session, he was able to see that he could just start 3 LLCs and do the other 5 things as divisions under either his holding company or under one of the 2 subsidiaries. So just make sure, even when you start in a holding company, one of the reasons is for consolidation. Make sure that you're doing it in a way that it consolidates the day-to-day management responsibilities you have. Because sometimes you might not even need a separate entity. Sometimes it just needs to be a division. And the way you protect that business with a division is just get more insurance to cover that activity, at least until that activity becomes big enough and monetizes enough that it can have its own entity. Centralization. So even when you do your taxes, like when you go to the tax person every year, I'm not a tax expert. I work with tax people. But when you go to the tax person, right, and you have a holding company and you have multiple subsidiaries or operating companies under that holding company, especially when they're like LLCs, your taxes are consolidated. You're able to go have a consolidated tax activity happen. You know, like the tax person is going to do your taxes, and all those entities, the financial activities are going to pass through. So it really helps to consolidate what you do for tax purposes as well. And last but not least, here's a final reason why people start holding companies. And for all of you that are watching on IG, if you don't see the number that I prompted you to text in the bio, in the comments, you'll see my people put the number. It's 678-276-8253. All you have to do is text the word holding to that number, and we're going to schedule a free complimentary business assessment. Just take a few minutes, answer any questions you have, and show you how to either properly set up your entity or restructure the current entity you have so that it can work and give you the biggest bang for your buck. All right. So I would love for you to reach out to me if you have any questions via texting the word holding to 678-276-8253. The last reason that we're talking about today that people start holding companies is for strategic allocation and distribution of funds and assets. Now that's a big bougie way of saying, if I have a holding company and my holding company owns other companies and my other companies start generating revenue because my holding company owns those other companies, my holding company controls those profits, that revenue. And a lot of times when you have that pre-tax revenue in your operating company that your holding company owns, you can allocate and distribute that money into other non-taxable events or other activities throughout your enterprise that will give you write-offs, deductions, and help you, number one, minimize your tax liability, and number two, maximize your overall profits. So it's a very strategic way that people allocate and distribute funds and assets throughout their enterprise. And if you learn these principles and you put these principles to practice, even as a solopreneur or small business owner, you'd be surprised at the impact you start making on your revenue and on your tax savings, on your productivity, on your sales and marketing. It impacts everything that you do as an entrepreneur. So many small business owners are missing out on so many different ways to leverage what they're already doing because they don't have this information. They don't have this knowledge. Some of you who are believers like me, you already know the Bible says we perish for the lack of knowledge. So you got to get that knowledge. So I hope you learned something today. Put in the comments what your biggest takeaway was from today's show. And again, if you would like for us to take a few minutes to provide a free complimentary assessment on your business to make sure that you have it structured right, or maybe you have some ideas, you just want to make sure you're making the right moves, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Text the word holding to 678-276-8253. All right. So make sure y'all give me some feedback. Let me know how today's show helped you. Did you learn something today? Was there something I said that stood out? Did you have an aha moment? Let your boy know. I love everybody. I appreciate everyone. Thank you for continuing to support the show. We come here in the middle of the day, every day, Monday through Friday, to give you game, to give you pieces of information that we know if you put them all together and start implementing them and using them, it's going to change your life. Like everything that I teach, everything that I share with y'all, Everything that I offer to y'all, whether it's a product, a program, or a service, it's based on things that I have learned, things that I've done to create what I've created. A real successful organizational enterprise, a 7-figure enterprise that I know I did it from the bottom all the way up. I figured it out and I packaged all the things that I learned in the form of courses, mentorship, consulting services that I provide, of course, to my community, to my clients, but even in the form of this show. This is a way of sharing information so that you can know, I know what I'm talking about, and you can know what you're talking about, and you can see the results from it. So again, inside of the comments, you will see the number that you can text. I don't have my whiteboard behind me because I am in my conference room today. As you see, you can get a little bit of outside in our backdrop because we're having some HVAC issues upstairs, and I ain't finna be sitting in no 90-degree room on no show live. I'm already perspiring and sweating right now, and we downstairs where the AC is working. So for all of you who might have looked at the background and thought, wow, where is he at? I'm in the conference room downstairs at our headquarters. So I appreciate you all. Love you. Thank you for joining the show today. Reach out to us if you have any questions, anything you need some information on, whether it's regarding holding companies, creative tax strategies, systems, processes, finances, real estate. We do it all. We understand it all, and we use it all in our own business every day of the week. So appreciate you. Thank you for joining the show. We will be back tomorrow. Same place, same time, 12 o'clock noon, right here on the Ramonepreston